because of you, Andy. This is because of you.
It's all for you. You
really
really want it.
It's all for
you.
you.
You really need it. We always come in with the song.
All the girls in my body.
Oh yeah, look at that body. Yes.
Always.
Welcome to Right.
Reach
Our
our
friends. I'm Lauren Jones.
I'm David Ray Martinez. That's me.
How are you doing, David Ray Martinez?
You know what? It's a weird time, baby. It's a weird
I was like, your voice went really high. I didn't know you were going into singing.
Oh, geez, such a weird time.
And if you aren't watching the YouTubes, you are missing red lips today. I have not put lipstick on in so long because we're just wearing masks. But I was like, I'm with the boys today. I need to pop that pop of color.
I used to go out and women would ask me that I put stuff on my lips. I'm like, they're just this color.
It's a good mauve.
Yeah. I mean, I have a little extra hair on the face, but
Listen,
to
each his own. You're in New York City. You can do whatever you want. I mean, you can do whatever you want wherever you are, but like New York, it's a little less of a shaka. But yes, that's definitely like a mauve that I feel like Kim K for sure petals that are your natural lip color. I'm just saying.
I'm gonna walk out here, ladies, be like, "Are you putting petals, baby? Petal colors, petals."
Those delicate petal lips. So today we have a hip hop improver, a Japanese enthusiast, a amazing friend that actually is the connection for David and I. Believe it or not, Andy, you are the glue.
What?
This is your fault, Andy.
It's your fault we have this show. You are the glue for the show. Not that indirectly David and I hadn't met several times, but we talked the most at your birthday party a few years ago. You guys, it's Andy Shartzer. Andy, I didn't even give him a good introduction. What did I say? You were an improviser and a Japanese enthusiast. Andy is literally what every man should aspire to be. He's an adventure man. He is a professional by day. He's hilarious by night. He's getting into stand-up, which we all know I think is hot. And he is he's been a performance brother for me for years now. And the glue that David and I have together, which is like amazeballs. So yeah. You want to add anything to this? He's a singer, he's a dancer.
I remember that day so clearly. I saw, I don't know if it was Facebook or Instagram or something. I saw it was like he's having a little birthday sing there. It was Facebook. And I was like, oh, you know what? I have a show at like 7-ish in Brooklyn. I'm going to go over, give him a shout out, and then run to this show. And that's exactly what I did. And then I think I was like the third one there, probably.
We were earlier, yeah.
I was super early.
You had such a turnout. You were so loved. Your birthday was the nice birthday celebration, actually.
Yeah. I think I just got really lucky in that it was at a weird time during the day.
It was a good spot.
Yeah, it was like central, and I gave people the option to just leave because I love having friends that do shit, and you all are super involved and always doing shit, always hustling. So it just kind of worked out. And yeah, David, you were there first. It's great because
I was helping set up tables. I was like, "Where you want? Where you want this table?" And the manager came over and said, "Why, sir? Why are you moving stuff?" I said, "Miss, it's Andy's birthday.
I got this, boo. We got these high tops over here. We only got a lot of high tops.
We're moving all these closer to the bar."
Yes. It was a good show out. But that's a testament to how amazing this guy is. So Andy, welcome to Radar Friends.
Yeah, welcome, buddy.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's really fun to be here. I've been watching all the snippets on Instagram and stuff, and yeah,
we're judging that he hasn't listened yet. But he's been supporting the Insta posts, which is something.
He's like, I've seen snippets.
I mean,
we do have some good Insta posts, though. We actually post videos. So yeah, You've seen it.
Yes. I love you both, and I'm happy to be here.
We love you too. We legit love Andy. Yeah, so this is going to be a high rating. So we've well, I don't know. I'm already judging that he hasn't fully listened to the show. But here's the story. We're going to pick Andy, you know, his brain on things in his life. Andy, just like a lot of our other guests, have those professional day jobs, and then they have the hustle at night. Andy and I met doing hip hop improv in the city, and then we were actually in an indie team together. And it's funny, Andy and I did a happy hour a few weeks ago, and there was I think he and I were the two busiest outside of like the state, because our jobs were so chaotic. We would be on these chains for our indie team, and we'd be like, the one person that wasn't there was the other one of us. So if it was like Andy was in town, I was gone, and if I was gone, Andy wasn't. It was always like, you know, it was always kind of cuckoo bird.
I think that's why we gelled. Like we
Mhm.
gelled well as a team, but you and I think really like connected because we like understood we traveled the most, and we're like, you know, I think we really valued our time together when we were in the same city at the
Yeah,
same
we
time.
really did, which was why even went to your birthday. I wasn't even living in New York at that time. And Lindsay, who was on our show, I think she was our last guest actually, Lindsay Rothfeld, her grandfather had passed away, and I was sitting Shiva with her family.
Yeah, that's what you can. Yeah, I
And
remember
I
that.
left to come to your party for a little bit while she was, and then came back and brought banana pudding for the family because they wanted banana pudding at the Shiva. So that was my roundabout back up. But yeah, we totally always connected about that. But yeah, Annie's like a very busy guy. And we also talked a little bit about the pandemic and how that's changed us, which I think is actually probably an interesting, you know, way to go. But yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do? You don't have to say your job's name or anything like that, but just tell them a little bit about what you do. Also, you have a really interesting background in your family and where you're from. And then we'll just ask you a bunch of questions like here and there as we go through it. It's a natural conversation, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I could just kind of get into it. So during the day, I work for man, there's so many adjectives, but like it's a
Stripping
Japanese.
company? Oh,
It's what?
a stripping company?
A
Yeah.
stripping company.
Yeah, man,
I'm trying to find as much adjectives as I can to not say stripper.
Stripping.
It's entertainment, non-conventional, vertical dance service provider. That's another side gig. No,
Nice.
so I work at a Japanese non-profit trade agency. So it's very niche. I help US companies with their go-to-market strategy for Japan. And that is very specific, I know, but you'd be surprised what companies out there are looking to go to Japan. And it's like, I don't want to like talk about like very boring corporate speak and
No,
stuff
it's
like that.
interesting because they need to be communicated to differently. There's a different way that people, I mean, and I've worked in the marketing space for a long time. And when you communicate to people from other countries, like in an email, sometimes it's more about the graphics than it is about the text. Sometimes it's more about like, there's just different cultural things, right? So I think that's super interesting that you
Well,
even
yeah,
know that, you know?
it comes, like you said, it comes down to like emails are a big deal, like it's details. So like, yeah, I enjoy kind of being the bridge between two different cultures, and it happened to work out here in this case where it's US and Japan. So because the Japanese business culture is a lot more about, and tell me if this is boring at all, but it's more rooted in long-term investment and trust and face-to-face interactions. And they want to show, especially if you want to enter the Japanese market, that you're committed. They don't want to see that you're just going to be there, try it out for a little bit, and then like leave. If they want to know that if you're investing, if they're investing in you, that it's going to be worth it. And because it's still very closed in terms of like a society still. There's a lot, I think, that it has.
Well, culturally, they're just like people from other countries are different. They don't.
Yeah.
Like, America's like fast, right?
Well, like for like one example that I like to use is business cards, right? So if you give your business card to someone, you know, it's like US company, it's like, oh, here's my business card. Sometimes it kind of has, especially if it's like that slick back hair dude at the networking event who's like, yeah, like take the business card, like, you know, call me. That's how they all sound. No, kidding. There's some nice ones out there, but it's got that kind of like sleazy connotation, or it's just in a, you know, a formality or something. Actually, it's kind of like an afterthought at business meetings. You're like, oh, by the way, let's keep in touch. Here's my business card. In Japanese business culture, it is very important. So you almost treat the business card as an extension of that person, which if you mistreat it, if you misplace it, if you drop it and you don't show proper like remorse or apologies, it could look very badly on you. So, you know, I've had it where like a client dropped a business card and left it in the bathroom on the floor, not on purpose, but like just like was trying to put it in his pocket or like in his back pocket and misplaced it. And then the Japanese company found it later, and it was kind of like, I don't think it ended talks, but it did not like look good on the guy's part. And it is truly an extension of the person in that, I mean, it's it's so deep, it's such a detailed and idiosyncratic culture too. So even with business cards, if you give business cards to a Japanese person and you're meeting for the first time in a meeting in a room, and there's multiple people on both sides, say there's, you know, 3 people on the Japanese side and 3 people on the US side, the Japanese side will arrange the business cards in the order that the people are sitting opposite them. So as like a way to remind them of, you know, who they are. They take titles very seriously. And so it's stuff like that. Like I tell the US company, hey, treat your business cards, take them with both hands, bow, and arrange them in a way on the table so that it's representative of how the Japanese side is sitting, and you'll get brownie points.
Wow. I feel like I'd get kicked out of Japan immediately in a business meeting.
First off, this is why anime is so good, right? No, because I mean, it's just the attention to detail and care. And this is what I tell people. I used to work in the Waldorf Research, so I always had a lot of Japanese clients, and you go into their room, you'd be like, is anyone staying here? Because you'd walk in and like their bed is a perfect triangle fold on the bed where they jump in and they jump out. It literally looks like no one is there.
When I was a teacher, so I was the art teacher at an international baccalaureate school, and in an international baccalaureate education,
I don't know what that
I'll tell you. It's well, in essence, if like you were getting taught in Japan and then you moved to the United States and they were at an international baccalaureate curriculum in Japan, it would translate to the United States. Like they wouldn't leave off too far off from where they were. You have to get a special certification as a teacher to teach in this kind of school. But the other cool thing about the curriculum is it is all inclusive. So like if my kids are studying social studies with like the pyramids, then we are definitely studying that in art at the same time. So I had to know what was going on in math and science in every grade. It was preschool through 8th grade, the school I was at. So and my curriculum had to align with what was going on in the classroom. So our 8th grade trip was to Japan. And I got to teach them about different lines of etiquette at 23 years old. But because they were one of the dads worked for Toyota and was very high up at Toyota. And the kids were going to tour the facility. And I had to teach them how to eat lunch with them. And I had to go through training myself.
Like whether it's oral or like on a piece of paper, it's called a jiko shokai. So it's and people get hung up about the whole bowing thing. It's like very, yeah.
It doesn't have to be big, but you have to gesture. That was like the biggest thing to remind them. Like
a lot of people are like, oh, what's the angle? And I'm like, approximately 67.5. No, it really depends. The biggest rule is like the bigger the difference between you and the person that you're bowing to, the deeper the bow. So if it's like just friends or just like, it's very simple. But if it's like, you know, a CEO of Toyota, then it could be, you know.
But we had to remind them, every person they stopped and met and they hand the cards to, that like had to do that. Like that was part of it. It was part of the like hello to them. I would hit everybody in the face with my bun.
What was funny is that Andy said depending on the size, and I thought like it was a shorter person
and a taller.
Like, yo, you mad short.
Lauren's gotta be bowing long. Big bows.
Only seniority. Like in terms of
I curtsied for my dentist when I first, my eye doctor, when I first went to go see him. Listen, I didn't know how to say hi after during the pandemic, and I'm close with my eye doctor. I like him a lot. And so I freaked out, and I thought that I was going to do this to somebody. It wasn't going to make any sense. I didn't bow, but I straight up curtsied hard. Like,
were you like, don't do it, and
yeah,
you did
I was
it,
like,
or?
What do you do? After I did it, I was like, I should just elbow tie you. It was so weird. But it's like, but my instinct is to hug. Like my instinct, and I like am close enough with him. And so I just didn't know what to do with my body, and it just kind of went. So I like understand the bow. Like it's like you're not touching a person, but you're, you know, reflecting that you acknowledge them. Shut up, David.
Were you even wearing a skirt?
No, I had yoga pants on. I got really low.
Well, at least they're stretchy, right? You can just like be super awkward with jeans.
It would have been really awkward with jeans.
I'm thinking of her in like a great outfit, like a great long dress, and she's like, ew.
Yeah, I wore a gown just to curtsy.
Yeah, you're just like, no yoga pants.
But then I looked up curtsy, and same thing. The higher up that person went, the deeper your curtsy was supposed to be. Same thing. That's what I was getting at.
It's
6 weeks
now,
later.
Now I can't just. Now just like Lauren is super polite to all of her healthcare professionals.
Yeah, I love my doctors. I keep them. Even all the times I've moved, I have the same doctors. I would fly to come see them. The ones that I have, I love them so much. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really OCD. All right, so
that's curtsy.
Yeah, curtsy worthy.
That's clean.
You are curtsy worthy, people. I will come visit you. Come off it. I will hug you though. We're all getting vaccinated, so I just really end up hugging people.
Well, again. I got Johnson & Johnson, which means I don't know how much longer I got. So.
It doesn't matter. You don't have estrogen up in your fallopian tubes.
How you know my estrogen levels, baby?
Yeah.
I know. Girl, I know your estrogen.
We friends, but we.
Yeah, I know. Wait, did you get your first one yet, Andy? Your first shot yet?
I got my first one. I got Pfizered up.
I got Pfizer too.
Yeah. I got my second dose next week.
And I got Johnson & Johnson, so
one and done.
How do I
say goodbye? Don't be using those Q-tips either, Johnson. Just be careful.
Or that talcum powder.
Right. That talcum powder is always in the news.
My mother, I put powder on. My mother's like, Papi, don't put on powder. Papi, I was like, that's for ladies. I don't know. Don't put on powder.
We've talked about that though. That screws with our pH balance when you're throwing some ball powder on. It's just something.
Well, you know,
You gotta be pH balanced.
you gotta stay fresh, and that's what wet wipes are for, right? So we go in y'all bathrooms, we use the wet wipe and pad. Anyway,
What I should do at post pandemic is put powder out, see if someone uses. Just see, like, have it be an attempting thing, and then be like, "Oh, did you use my powder?"
How would you tell though? Would you just like look on the floor?
Well, if I hooked up later with him, I'm sure I would know.
well, you know what? I mean, we want to smell good.
I get
You
it,
know,
but still,
one of my friends used to get. I told her I was like, when I take a shower and then, you know, I brush my teeth and then I put toothpaste on my
right, it
joint.
messes up her pH balance. We've
Yeah,
had
but
this.
I'm like, but I want it to taste good later. You know what I'm saying?
And Andy, this is what I have to deal with.
Unless
Hey,
it's pH balance, I'm saying I want it to be
This
like.
is not a conversation we have at the business table in Japan.
No.
For the record.
Not in the first meeting, maybe in
Okay.
the second. Maybe
Got
in the
it.
second.
After we've exchanged business cards, then
Yeah.
got
Build
it.
rapport.
Noted.
Then we'll talk about.
No, that's
Noted.
Uh,
So
my
how
name's
fluent are you in Japanese?
To be perfectly honest, like in a business setting, I can't like talk like super like with there's business stakes. I can't like really function. I'll leave that to the professionals, language professionals. So I was lucky enough to live in Japan for a few years before this gig, and I never studied the language, so I moved to the country not knowing anything at all about it. So I studied German in college, and
Why?
I grew up as a nerd, and like I'm still a nerd, but like I was big like math and science and
German?
Did you have glasses and you pushed them back with your
Did
pen?
you push glasses in?
I did not have glasses, but I had a pen that I like. Yeah, I was just like I was the kid in the front row who like always, and I was the most, and I was a teacher in Japan, so like being on the teacher side, knowing like what students are the cool students, I learned that I was not a cool student actually in high school. What I thought I was just like the annoying one, like what can I do to prepare for the test and stuff like that. But I was big on like math and science, so German made sense because I going into college I wanted to be an engineer, and I was like, oh, like that, if I was to do international work in the engineering space, that language made the most sense. And to be honest, we didn't have a huge pick. It was Spanish, German, or French. And
we had
I
French,
think
German, and Latin.
we had Russian at the I went to
Russian
two high
would be cool.
We went to went to two high schools, and Russian was the language offered at my first one, and I was like, that's interesting. It would be cool though.
Russian would be cool. My dad was like, if you don't take Spanish, it's like you and your Puerto Rican roots. Come on. I was like, all right. Yeah, we just knew the bad words growing up. We didn't really like speak it very fluently.
So
I know.
That's how I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the only Spanish I know is what Daddy Yankee and Pitbull.
Which is in Spanish.
Which is the bad words. Yeah.
I was gonna say, so you went to Japan to teach, so that's how you got there?
Yeah. So I graduated in during the recession, and I was struggling to find a job. And one of the things that was, my mom actually shared this opportunity to teach English in Japan, and I was interested in it because my grandma, she's Japanese, and I still have family over there, and it would be, if I lucked out and got placed close to them, it would be a cool way to kind of get in touch with that part of my family. And at the time I ended up going with a consulting job because it was just the more sure thing. But then I was kind of tired of consulting, and then I was like, hey, I am young, single, mobile, and I want to do this. I will regret it if I don't
do it. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and like I don't think I would have done it now, so I'm glad I did it. And yeah, I got accepted. It's called the JET program, and it's a really great program. And I taught there for 2 years, not knowing a thing about teaching or Japanese. I had done some coaching. I taught U8 girls soccer or coached U8 girls soccer in college. Did some tutoring, so I had experience
Did you
working with
play
kids.
soccer?
Not varsity, just intramural.
I didn't know that though. We're learning something new.
Yeah.
The football, the
Yeah.
real football. That's what you play.
The wheel football.
The real football.
The
Yes.
the real yeah, the real football.
What is
But I do like
what is it in Japanese? How do you say soccer in Japanese?
football.
Football. See, it's
Football.
football. Everywhere it's football. Exactly.
Football.
American football. We have to say, we have to distinguish. We have two here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do love just how deep Japanese voices are. Like they're
That's-
so good.
What?
No, like when they like my son watches a lot of anime, and I know normal people don't talk like that all the time. But the voice
Yes.
actors,
When they get serious, yeah, it gets
no,
real
it's so
deep.
deep, and the tone is just like so rich. And like when I listen, I was like, man, I wish I could speak Japanese because I kill it with the deep voice.
You could. You probably
You
should.
would.
You should
You-
learn it.
You should like do like find a way to be VO for the English dub or something. Like you would.
Mm.
Yeah,
you have a
like the
great
Netflix
voice.
version of everything, right? Don't they dub everything now everywhere?
Yeah, I'm looking into some stuff. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be on some three-letter channel this fall. Hopefully, so
Nice.
Yeah.
hopefully, let's see. We don't know.
DRM's gonna leave me.
I won't leave you.
Gonna be too famous
I
for
won't
me.
leave
Or
you.
maybe he'll get me famous.
We'll just have to record a lot on one day. No, it's one of those things. Who knows? Right?
Whatever. It's gonna happen. One of us is gonna catapult. Somebody on this show is gonna catapult one day, and they're gonna take the other two with them. That's what's gonna
what you're
happen.
supposed to do.
We're all always on the cusp of something over here. Okay, so grandma's from Japan, and that's dad's mom, right? Am I saying that correctly?
Yes. Yes.
So dad is Japanese, which is like, so did you always have an affinity because of that too? Because that was part of your heritage?
Yeah. So my dad was born in Japan on an Air Force base. So my grandparents met when it's funny because like my grandfather is like this German white boy from Indiana, and he was stationed over in Japan for the Korean War, and he met my
Wait,
grandma.
He's a German white boy from Indiana.
Like
No, I got you.
yeah. He's like German immigrants, white boy from Indiana. Like
That's the
Like-
name of a movie, The White Boy from Indiana. I think that's a movie we need to write. Just sounds interesting.
that's the show that David's gonna be.
Yeah,
in.
on ABC. Next season, next fall on ABC, White Boy from Indiana, starring David Ray Martinez.
I'm a white man. Just a white man from Indiana. Making it this hard time.
I would watch that even more now. It just sounds, yeah. I love this casting.
Um,
And then
Yeah.
dad was in the military too, right?
Dad followed in my grandfather's footsteps and was in the military too.
Hence you going to 2 high schools, hence you probably going to multiple elementary schools and things.
Yeah, I went to 7 different schools growing up.
Wow.
So I was born in Cali, near Sacramento, and then I've lived in Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, Nebraska, and Virginia again. So Virginia twice.
Wow.
But yeah, so my dad was born in Japan. My grandma decided she's one of 5 kids, and she was the only one who left the country. So there's a term that's not super accurate, but it's kind of the accepted term for like Japanese spouses of U.S. servicemen, and it's a war bride. So, and it's not entirely accurate because it's not, my grandfather wasn't over there during Japanese wartime.
Right.
But it's like the period between like 1947 and 19 like I don't know. I've had a lot of time to like do some reading in this pandemic, so I've been like reading that too. But yeah, so she's the only one. She relocated to the States in Virginia, not knowing anyone, not knowing the
Wow.
language, so just leaving her entire family and friends behind. So it's crazy because like as a kid you don't realize that stuff, or you're not looking for it, or it's just not, you're a kid, you're just like not thinking about that sort of thing. So
How old was she when she left?
Late 20s,
I
early
couldn't
30s
even
maybe.
imagine. Could you imagine? I couldn't even imagine.
I mean,
I
I
was
think
like, where do you have friends? Just
Yeah, it's not like they had like cell
stuff.
phones and Instagram and email and texting, and you really like left.
yeah, this was the 50s when
Yeah.
like were telegraphs still? I don't know, like
I don't know, owls, pigeons. What did you send?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Guys,
He
I think
did
there
have-
were letters. Relax. I think there were letters.
Messages in bottles. What happened?
You could call, guys. I think there was phones.
I mean,
No, but it was just
1850s versus
harder.
19
It was harder though to be in touch with your family.
Yeah,
for
for sure.
sure. Like it wasn't, you're traveling and you could visually see them on a phone or a Zoom like we're doing right now or whatever. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
lot.
So like, yeah, like it was a different time. I have like a lot of admiration and respect for that. Like, and I was like, if she was able to do that, then I should be able to like do, live in another country not knowing the language, and I have Facebook Messenger or Skype.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get to be reunited with some of your family when you were living over there?
Yeah, I got really lucky, and I was placed in a city pretty close to, so my family's all in Yokohama, which is like an hour south of Tokyo. And I was pretty close to them, so I got to spend New Year's with them
Nice.
for 2 years each year, and then I would go visit them during like a holiday or something. Or my great aunt is still alive, so I think I went for her birthday one time.
Nice. That's so sweet. And then you came back to Virginia?
Came back to Virginia after Jet and was like, I need to get out of here. So New York had always kind of been on my radar, and I never lived in a big city, and comedy was and improv were like big things that I wanted to really get into. And New York is the mecca for that big comedy hub, and it's still on the East Coast. I wanted to be close to family if I wanted to go back like on weekends and stuff. So I was really I was like, I gotta get up here somehow. And
I can make it there, I'll make it
no, yo.
anywhere. That's what I'm like. I just could hear you doing that.
Andy in this room just doing the kick.
Yes.
No,
I gotta get there.
the city that never sleeps. Well, I want to sleep a couple of hours.
I know. I feel like we all want to sleep when we're in New York. We're
I was
also
like,
busy.
at least six.
Yeah.
At least 6, right? Like that's how I used to gauge going out. I go, I need to be home by 1, and I can sleep by 2, and then I can get out the door by 8 o'clock. That's perfect.
See, I was even worse than that. I would be like, if I could get 6 to 7 hours, but even in chunks. So I'd be like, okay, there's a good chance they're going to put me on this mic and it's going to be like 1:30 in the morning because I'm like the nobody. So if I like work at this time, and then I actually always have supported an international team. So there were several times where like I had folks in Singapore and Australia and stuff, and I would like I would sleep, get on a hella late call. They're like, it's so late your time. I go, I know, I'm about to go out and do comedy. And it was, like midnight. I get on like a 30-minute or an hour-long call with them, and then I'd go take a cab or Uber to like wherever, uptown or downtown or whatever, and then I would I wait forever, do a fucking like get home at 3:30, and then sleep like the rest of the hours I would need to then get up again.
See, that's dedication. I'd be like, fucks that.
I'm good with the naps though, but I'd have to do the math. Like I'd have to do the sleep math to get like the 6 or 7 hours. Now that I'm gonna be 40 this year, buddy, I have got to sleep 8 hours plus, or I am a monster mash. Don't play.
Yeah, I like the chunks too, but yeah, I remember one time I sat at a mic almost 3 hours for a minute and a half of space time. I was like, what am I doing with my life? And
I know.
Like, I still want to do mics, but I'm never doing a minute and a half. It has to be 5 or more. Like I can't.
A minute and a half is nothing. Oh my god.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
3 hours?
I was like, hi, my name is David, and good night.
and then I think they heard my laugh, and someone must have told them my name, and they must have put me at the bottom of the bucket so I could laugh at all those horrible jokes.
Oh God.
Yeah,
don't be the laugher.
Yeah.
Andy never slept. Andy would stay, like we would have like a late night at my house. He'd be like the last one to leave because I was on the west side and he was up on my side of town.
Yeah.
And then I was like, let me know when you get home. Like send him in an Uber. I'm like tracking his Uber to make sure he's safe. Because he's so late. And I'm like, what time do you have to get up? He's like, oh, I got a flight. I gotta get up at like 5 in the morning. And I'm like, get out of here.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sleep probably. I'll sleep on the plane.
Like we were so terrible. I mean,
yeah, I think I did the same thing with him one night too. I think we did the pit. It was late and I was like, hey, I'm headed home. You want to ride home? Where you live?
Yeah.
Because I always give people rides to my side of
because you were up the same. Yeah, you were on our side too.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, so he's like, yeah, I'm up there. And I was like, all right. And I drove around. He was like, yeah, I think I have a flight in a couple hours. I was like, this nigga here. Why you want to fly? Like, I didn't even pack. I'm like making it so nonchalant. And I'm like,
I was just as bad though. I'm like judging him, but I was just as bad at that point in time. It was crazy. This is what we were talking about when we did when we had our happy hour that not that long ago. We were like, how are we doing this? It was a lot.
I remember, David, the ride back, like that like was a huge lifesaver. And like I really wanted to like, it's such a good conversation and just extend it more, but I was just like also just panicking on the inside of like, oh, I gotta like do all this stuff. And well, like Lauren, you mentioned, I don't think I can do that anymore. I think it's just
I can't. I know I can't now. I don't think
I like kind of like you were saying, David, like what am I doing with my life a little bit? Like
you start, you know what? You start, I've done a lot of things where because I think I started life late.
I agree. I feel the same way about
I've been on stage since I'm 5 years old. I'm good.
So
like I think
so I started life late, and then I think especially at 34 when I started doing comedy stuff related, it was just like a whole different world to me. So I
didn't know you started that late.
Yeah, I was 34.
Wow.
And then it was like one of the advices was just say yes to a lot of things, and then that's what I kept doing. So then you're out at the show and like, oh, hang up a few hours. Like, okay, cool.
Yeah, improv screws us up, right? It's like say yes and it's like a subliminal message for everything we do.
We take it on so much, yeah.
And then you realize you're like, no, I should not be here. I should be in my bed.
Yeah.
I should be, and then weird instances, and then you meet so many different people and different energies, and then you're in Brooklyn at 2:00 in the morning and you're like, I know I gotta go to work and I'm happy I have a car, but why am I in Brooklyn?
Mm-hmm. That's the magic of New York too, though.
Yeah,
it's just can kill you physically. Like you can just be run down of exhaustion.
Yeah. One night I wound up in some famous photographer's house. Don't know who he is still to this day, but he had all these famous people up. He had a hammock in his living room. He made us take pictures. I'm somewhere in this man's house in a picture frame with some hot ass women that I don't know why I was with them, but we all went to this man's house to hang out and chill. And And then like it was, you know how the night keeps going and everybody's like, I'm out. And I'm like, I'm not gonna be here alone with this creep. So we all wind up leaving. And I'm like, this is a great experience, but I don't remember these people. I don't know their names. I don't know anything of them. They may be Facebook friends that I don't even check on, but it was just so weird, you know? But then it's like something that I have in my head that I want the hammock in my living room. That is going to be.
Oh, that's like a goal now? Okay.
Yeah, the extent of like my dope ass apartment is going to be have a hammock in my living room, have a vinyl collection, and be like, yeah, ladies, check out my shit. I'm old. You know,
that's how you get. That's how you get the
vinyl on
ladies.
this hammock.
Yeah, and that sounds very. That sounds like a white boy from Indiana. I mean, that's part of the script, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I think like it's very like, you know,
show white boy from Indiana, starring the black Latino
with a hammock in his that's like the opening scene is like you in a hammock listening to records.
Interior apartment.
Yeah.
Hammock. Hanging from
swinging. Yeah, hammock swinging. Wait, so okay, so you were in how many? What was the max? You were in so many. You are still in teams, so plug some of the people that you're still performing with is important.
Yeah,
he just do it. You just did a show, right? Or you're doing a show?
Yeah, I mean, so I was doing virtual improv at the start of this, but it is very difficult.
Hard. But how many? What was the max teams you were on at one time?
Probably 4.
Oh my god, I can't.
It was Boots and Cats, our indie hip hop improv team. It was a house team at the Pit. It was I think we called ourselves the Crunchy Stuff. We were an indie team, and then my sketch team, Overstep Comedy.
And Overstep is what you're still doing, right?
Yeah, we're still doing virtual shows. Physical are impossible right now.
Overstep was awesome though when that first happened because it's mainly all Asian-based talent, right? And we didn't see that. I don't think people realize this, even when you're in New York City, is that you don't see a lot of all women teams. You don't see a lot of all Black teams. You don't see a lot of all Asian teams, and you don't see a lot of all Latin teams. It's like you literally, or Indian teams, like you don't see it's a majority white people. Yeah. And you get some sprinkles of the other races is kind of a thing. So that was like that's a very big sketch team, and it was all Asian people, right? Of all different countries. It wasn't just like you were all Japanese, right? You were all over.
No, okay. I mean, we have like first gen Chinese, we have like South Asian, Indian, Japanese. I don't think we've had any people of Korean descent, but yeah, it's there's so many talented people out there, comedians, actors, and on the scene in New York. I mean, there's Goat Face Comedy, which is like a group of Indian Americans, or I think Central and South Asian Americans. I'm not sure if they're all Indian, but it's like Hassan Minhaj was in that. They did like a season or 2 on Comedy Central. There's Astronomy Club, which is fantastic.
Which James III was one of my instructors from UCB, who I still love and is just like a cool mentor to me.
He's hilarious.
I love him. Don't you love James? Don't we all know him?
Yeah, no, he came into my class and made me understand comedy to a certain extent.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was he just understood my weirdness versus, no offense to the white teachers that I've had out there, but I just do think there's a barrier. They don't understand that we have to be extremely funny, and it may incorporate so many different things to be so funny to our people.
Do we all have him as a teacher?
I did not.
And and then we did a festival thing together. That's how we stood in contact.
Gotcha. He's so funny. Yeah, Astronomy Club is awesome. And why the hell did Netflix not pick that up for second season? I have no idea. I signed like every petition for that because that was such a funny
Same.
sketch show. I was like, what? Why? It didn't make any sense. But whatever, Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think, I mean, I don't know why, but I do think that, like you said, people are sprinkled in because they're so hard, like 5, 6, 7 Black people who are all trying to work on one thing, and you have real life happening and you don't have financial support from others, or, like it's hard. You know what I mean? Like, I've been on teams where people are like, oh yeah, my dad is this, and I'm paying for, I'll pay for the classes or the teachers, and you're just like, can you pay my rent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you finished the whole UCB program, and you did the Pit, and you did North Coast. Like, I don't know if Andy was eating normal meals because he was paying so much money for classes.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot. It is.
You know what? I did a show one time where the stand-up comedian asked people how much money they spent in improv, $1,000, and one young lady said $9,000.
Oh my gosh.
Oh shit.
How many improv classes did she take?
But I mean, think about it. If you just do regular course of UCB, if you get to level 4, and
it's like $400 or $500, right? The highest level.
Like $450, and then you get to advanced study. Now remember, you got to get accepted into advanced study. Then there's more levels after that. So even if you did,
it's like Scientology.
Yeah, so that's like just 4 levels is already $1,800.
Yeah, we've all easily spent probably 3 grand in classes or something.
I mean, if we're summing it up, yeah.
Yeah, between classes, transportation to classes.
Oh no, don't start adding that.
Per diem.
I mean, for real though, the food that you have to eat by the class because you're in like the middle of the most expensive part of the city, and your salad is $15.
Yeah,
like
$17 salad.
Yeah,
$4 water.
Yeah,
in there and a hot box.
Exactly.
8 times every class, like
times every class, because like where are you else gonna eat? And you're God.
And then after class, if you really love your classmates, there's going to be at least one outside meeting because someone wants to drink and be social.
Yes, that's true. Luckily, I would say luckily the Pit, it was closer to more of like the joints where you could like get a deal on some stuff. UCB was always like buy some she shit. It was a little harder. It was a little harder to save money going out.
Even at bars with shishi.
Even those bars with shishi. Yeah. You had that instead of paying like $2 for a beer, you paid like $7. That kind of stuff.
But yeah, but I do appreciate it. I'll never be sad that it happened, but definitely it was an amazing experience. But let's get into these questions.
Wait. Let's wrap him up with Overstep. So you do Overstep still. Yeah, we'll go into questions in a minute. Yeah. Overstep, and then you just started doing stand-up, right?
Yes. And by that, I mean one virtual class.
You could have taken my class, man. I
didn't know you. Are you teaching classes?
Yeah, I teach a class at the Pit. I teach a class called What's Your Funny? We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, shit, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took my extent of stand-up experience is one class virtual show. So
and he did good. I saw his stand-up set. So much so, I think, David, next time we do a virtual show, we should have Andy on it.
All right.
That's what I think should happen. Sure. Yeah.
Send me a video so I can steal all your material.
Got it.
You can't even steal his material. It's so personal. It wouldn't even fit.
It
wouldn't even fit. Right? Yeah, it'd be like my grandpa's from Indiana. Like it wouldn't make sense at all.
This is all part of the script.
Yeah. I mean, we're always writing something, right? Okay, so ideally, Andy, where would you want like this stuff to take you in the next few years? Are you like me where you're like, I have the day job, I'm going to keep the day job until something happens, or do you have some goals? Because you're a hustler Everyone needs to know this. We've all been impacted by the pandy for sure, but Andy is a hustler, you know?
Yeah, Andy isn't gonna. I don't like talking about myself in third person.
You don't know.
I was gonna do like an Andy Pandy thing.
Andy post pandy.
Andy post
Yeah.
pandy. Hashtag. Yeah, I know it's something that I've been thinking about a lot lately. I think the pandemic and David, what you were saying with like, I think I'm glad I did the improv thing. It made, you know, it let me meet a lot of really awesome people like both of you. But I think in terms of like long term, I want to keep doing stand up. I think like the dream would be to like write my own, like have my own pilot or something, or like a small special. I really like acting, but I I also want creative control. So this is very demanding, but I would love.
But I want to be a director.
You know what? When you have all the experience of like we do performing, writing our own sketches, producing them ourselves, you do want that power if you've been able to handle it. Some people find they shake it out and they go, I just want to act. Like Lindsay, she's cool with like performing other people's things. But I think when you, especially in the comedy space, you learn how to do all of that stuff by de facto, because you can't put on a show without learning some of those skills. And if you have them and you like them, you end up applying them, I think. And then that makes sense that you want that control.
Yeah, I think, you know, this is all very speculative, but I would love just to act, I think first and foremost in any sort of comedy thing. But also like the day job, like producer side of me, I think would love to like either bring someone else's story to life in the comedy world and kind of like help make that happen, or kind of explore, you know, something I have in mind.
I will say this, Andy is such a collaborative person to work with too. Not everyone is, but you're really fun to work with and you're a good listener. And yeah, and I feel like so you could curate something for somebody and I think be as fulfilled because you'd put yourself into it, but like work with that person.
I tend to like absorb whatever, like, you know, someone's like, oh, I want to work on this, then I'm like, let's do it. And then like I take on their kind of their why a little bit, which
that's nice.
Yeah, maybe
this guy's
taking on
so nice, you guys. You don't even know. We're so lucky to be in the presence of an Andy Shartzer.
No, I love you guys.
Whatever. I'm a hot mess over here. Well, I mean, David, yes. David, you know, king of the Bronx.
Yeah, we're gonna talk, Andy. I'm gonna give you my stuff and then we're gonna be famous. You're gonna be like, I don't know, he's a weirdo, but we're gonna make money.
Hey, I'm weird too. I love weird stuff.
Yeah, let's go.
But Andy has a studly look, so you could get somebody hire him. He could be like the heartthrob in a Lifetime movie. Andy has that look.
Hallmark.
He definitely can, but also it's always weird, right? Because it's about casting. Because if they have a certain woman in particular, you just have to be taller than her. So
Andy is tall enough, though. I think Andy is. Someone hire him for a Lifetime or a Hallmark movie. Come on, look at that face.
I watch all the Hallmark movies when I'm back home for the holidays, so I've been doing my research. Hallmark.
See, he's like, just to get that hustle on TV, get this kid, you know, his card and his insurance, get him on the TV. You know,
can I ask him some questions?
Yes, we're gonna ask you questions. Okay, so we're gonna rate you. Lower level is like well at the bar. You're definitely not gonna be that. Then middle, you're probably not even gonna be middle. Top is cousin, but like we've had lots of variations of a cousin. And here we go with the questions. Are you ready, Andy? We're gonna rate you.
Let's do it.
All right. My first question is, if you had to rename yourself, what would it be? If you had to give yourself a different name, Yeah.
Would he
First,
rename
middle,
himself
and-
now or as a child?
No, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Just whatever. What would you rename yourself?
First, middle, last.
Yeah,
for it.
yeah.
Oh man. I've always. Oh man, I've always liked Derek or Jared.
Derek or Jared?
Let's see, probably. Oh man. Middle names are also like they're like. It's like I'm having a child and like having to name it.
Yeah. What would you name your firstborn? / what would you want your name to be? Isn't that what our parents did anyway? Just pick the name they wish they had.
Yeah, essentially. I do know what my name would have been if I was a girl.
What? What?
It would have been Kristen Renee Shartzer.
Kristen Renee.
That is a nice name.
It's
I
got a
would have been
certain-
Ruben because my
But you know what? But that's also, you said Christian or
Kristen.
Kristen.
Kristen. But you know what? That would have been a perfect name for a dude too, like Christian Renee Shartzer. That would have still been a great name.
Yeah, if they just changed the Kristen to Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. All right, so Christian Renee or Derek Renee.
Nice.
So
Do
I
you know
could
what
be-
you would have
it could
been as
be
a girl? David?
Huh?
What would you have been as a girl? Do you know?
No, I don't know. I wasn't supposed to be born.
Oh my God. Andy, what were you just going to say? I'm not even going to listen to what he's about to say. Okay,
I was just gonna.
I'm drinking. I wasn't supposed to be here.
shut up. What were you going to say?
I was just gonna say Derek Renee, so I could like abbreviate it and be Dr. Shartzer without
Dr.
having to go to-
Shartzer. Yes. I like. All right. Holding the door. Do you do that anymore for women or men, or do you just let people get their own door? Now, pre-pandy, because nobody wants to touch doors anymore. But
Yeah, nowadays it's just like a standoff waiting for
like,
the
are
person
you
to come
chivalrous
out.
in that way, or are you just like, listen, I'm not trying to impress anybody?
I try to, like, if I'm on a date or something, I try to open the doors for women and stuff. But I like there's like space is such a commodity in New York where like some of the entrances and exits are like so cramped where like, you know, it's cold and there's like that vestibule thing before actually going into
Yeah.
the building. And sometimes like I'm not even paying attention and we're there already, and I'm not, if like the girl's already like reached for it, I'm not gonna be like, oh,
You're not like pushing her out of the way. Okay. It's
Yeah.
it's not like a religious thing, but you will do it.
yeah.
Okay.
Are you dating during the pandemic?
Yeah.
You are?
Yeah. It's
How is
weird.
it going?
It's about as well as it can go. I mean,
Is it like lots of walks, or are you guys past the walking?
past the walking.
Okay.
But initially it was like video calls. I mean, yeah, walking, picnics on the other side of the blanket.
That's a Lifetime movie. Picnics on the other side of the blanket.
We like put out this blanket and then we're like trying to like stay on the edge.
Oh
The
my
food
God.
is in the middle and it's like the barrier at the same time.
Oh my God.
Oh,
That
that's
is
crazy.
a great Lifetime movie. Yeah.
Picnics
Yeah.
on the other side of the blanket. I love it.
Little pandy mute cute.
Yeah, that's cute. Cute.
Yeah.
Well, my second question to Doors is, how many times have you closed the elevator before somebody is getting ready to come up? Like if it was like a 1 in 5 situation, like how many times do you think you would have been like close before someone else came in?
Now
Again,
or pre-pandy?
Pre-pandy. Like I think most of these are pre-pandy for me.
Probably 2 out of 5.
Okay. I don't
2 out of
judge 2
5.
out of 5 too bad. Yeah, I think
No,
I'm
That-
not bad. I think it's harder when you make the eye contact. Like you're like, when you see them, and then you be like.
To me, that's more of a reason to run and do it once you do make the eye contact. It's almost too personal at that point.
I've had it, like I've made eye contact, like, you know, lobby going up to the workplace, and the elevators that are building just suck. Like you have to scan the ID card, and then like you hit it, and then like it won't register, and you have to hit it again. Sometimes it takes like 5 times before it already goes up. So I'm just like hitting buttons, and then sometimes I'll make eye contact, and I'm like, oh, I finally got it to work, and I'll just like, nope, fuck this. Like,
yeah,
like,
no, there's no editing on this. You're good. No censoring.
But it's backfired, and the door has like opened up again sometimes.
That's the worst. That is like, I will have diarrhea wherever I'm going next, because I got at that point.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry.
That's happened. Yeah. I just super embarrassed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say, if there's is there a situation that ever happened at work that you was like, oh, this is a great sketch?
Oh yeah.
Besides the card falling on the bathroom floor, like that actually could be an interesting sketch. I was thinking earlier when he said that.
Yeah. I mean, oh man, there's so many. I mean, like, okay, so like there's a lot of micromanaging, and every day, I kid you not, every day I have to text our work group chat that I'm starting work at 9 a.m. So I've always thought about like, well, if they want to know this about me, then I text them when I'm eating, and I'm text them like,
yeah,
like what? Damn.
Yeah,
like
that'd be yeah, that could get intense. Is it like a Slack group?
It's there's a chat
a WeChat. What's that?
It's called Line.
Yeah, I have Line too for some stupid game I play. Where they're like, you need to get on the line. And I'm like, why? Why I got to do that for? This is dumb. But on Android, trick on Android, you can schedule your text.
Oh.
What?
Yeah, on Android, you can schedule your text. So like, for example, if I need to text you, Lauren, I'll be like, I'm not going to remember. It's 4:00 in the morning. Let me schedule a text right now to say, hey, Lauren, can we meet tomorrow? Da, da, da. I schedule it, send it, go to
Usually
sleep.
if you send it the real time, though, I'm up and I'll just be like, okay.
No, but you know what?
I'm just about to get on a flight.
But thing like Andy's dealing with, he'll be like, yeah, I'm working when he's sleeping, you know?
Dang.
You know, like, why do you need to
life hack?
Yeah,
life hack.
Yeah,
I'm gonna steal one of David's questions that I really liked. Okay, it doesn't have to be food, but if I have a party, what are you gonna bring to my house? And it doesn't have to be food related. We've had a couple of good answers to this one.
I would bring. Is there a limit?
No, you can bring me whatever you want.
I would bring a 5-layer dip and chips. And I'd stop by like an Italian restaurant and get takeout gnocchi, because when we went to that one place, that was like
that gnocchi was so good.
What is that?
Bring all the
gnocchi.
What is gnocchi?
It's a noodle with like a potato in it. Basically, it's almost like a shell noodle that has like a potato in it and it's like closed shut. Okay. But you make it with like truffle oil and stuff. And there's always a Mediterranean place in my neighborhood that I like dream of this gnocchi still. Oh my God. The fact that you even said that now makes me want to eat it so bad. It is so good. We had the best dinner that I always had a great dinner at that place. But that night you and I both got like weird fish. Like we both got different fish meals. We got the gnocchi and killed it. We drank like a bottle of what we like. It was like my goodbye dinner, I think, before I left, but it was so yummy.
I would bring that and Prosecco.
I mean, winning best friend.
We always Like that was always like at the ready.
Yes. Aw, Andy, that was thoughtful. Go D. What do you got?
Yeah, see, he wouldn't bring me nothing. See how it goes? See how it goes?
It was my question. It wasn't your question.
I'm teasing. What is the best piece of advice you've ever gotten?
I like this one.
Oh man.
That you still use or that you say?
That is a good question. I think the first one that comes to mind is it wasn't given to me directly, but I heard one of my friends say it. And it's choose joy over comfort.
Oh,
Choose joy over comfort.
that's a thinker.
Yeah, that's definitely a relationship question. That's a relationship because no, I'm just saying because with joy, and relationship goes across the board.
That could be like where you live, though.
But that's what I'm saying. Relationships are relationships towards your house, towards your situation, towards your all the energy. It's a relationship. So that's what I'm saying. It's definitely a relationship based question where it's like choose joy over comfort. Yeah, because comfort it's a disgusting place. Definitely, you can just fall to the wayside being comfortable because it's easy. You know, there's not a lot of work in it. Like I know I'm funny, and it's easy being funny.
Are you?
I mean, that's what
I know this too.
That's what she said.
That's what she said. Is it that funny? But no, it's that's a great thing because you know I've suffered with depression where sometimes it's just like, oh, I'm gonna just sleep all day, and you know, like a friend's mother told me, you know, sometimes you have to participate in life, you know, even when you don't want to. But
yeah, I totally agree. And like to go off what you were saying about relationships, I think like life is all relationships, including the relationship with yourself. And like, yeah, like I initially heard it and I was like, oh, this is good for career. Like, you know, choose joy over comfort. Like, don't be satisfied, you know, always life's short, which it is. And I think, but like it's relationships, romantic, family, friends, yourself too. So I think it really kind of runs the gamut.
yeah.
Mine was, I'm not that anybody asked, but I feel like
what's yours, Lauren?
I'm gonna say mine because I feel like it goes a little hand in hand with the joy over comfort thing. Is that you really aren't too old to learn new things. And somebody did tell me like you're always like learning how to do something better, always taking a lesson for something, or always. And I'm like, yeah, I don't understand why. It's kind of sad. We all just kind of like think after we're high school, we're supposed to just stop, or after college, we're supposed to just stop. I don't want to stop learning how to do new things or get better at new stuff. I think that does make us complacent and makes us comfortable and makes us tired. You know, it's like be motivated by something. And sometimes it's not comfortable knowing, like going into a situation that you don't know how to do well. For me, anyway, but I still do it.
Spoiler alert, like high school really isn't a great education anyway.
No. Those history books, get out of here. Burn those books.
You know what? I mean, I you know, my one of my nieces is going to be a doctor this year. I paid for her first year of college, and I was like, listen, you're going to community college because you don't need to give away all that money for free. What school do you want to go to?
Right.
Let's plan it out. Let's map it out from now. I tell Sebastian every day, depending on your career that you want to get into, you can take your GED at 16 and be done. And then go into that career earlier than anticipated or start college. If you could be a 25-year-old doctor if you want to be a doctor or lawyer. Like, don't waste time on the unnecessary stuff. Like, I said those books. I mean, you're not going to need that stuff. It sounds messed up. Like I do value education, but if
No,
you need,
I'm just saying you can
yeah,
learn anything. Like
that's
it
what I'm
doesn't
saying. You
have to
can.
be like your GED or I think there's a stigma that like that's all you're supposed to do and then you just stop. Like we all talked about how much money we just paid in improv classes. Like we've all it's like we have to just keep doing stuff because if you don't keep moving, you're just gonna get stuck. And and the thing I love about the two of you and the energy of what we're all always doing, including today, all of us work today. I think David's got to get ready for like some kind of show or something, probably. It's like there's a lot that we fit it in. You know what I mean? We fit in this app because we're passionate about each other and we're passionate about, promoting the people that we care about in our lives. Okay, I know we're almost at time, but like lately we've been ending with kind of stories from people, and I want to hear the story and then we're gonna rate you. So you have like a crazy story on a motorcycle, right? Am I remembering this correctly?
Yeah.
So he is like an Adventure Time kind of guy. And I think it's just
Yes.
interesting to hear when you have friends that just do cuckoo things. So I want you to share the story with our listeners and David, because I'm sure he doesn't know it.
David, have I told you the story?
I don't think so.
There you go.
So yeah, I think I've toned down a bit, but I'm still very much like YOLO. Like I think it stemmed from like living in a place, and I studied abroad too, and it was like living somewhere with a finite amount of time, and you only have this long to like do things there. So I kind of carried that throughout, and at the end of my stint in Japan before I returned back stateside, me and some buddies from middle school, we were like, hey, let's go on a trip. So we decided to go to Cambodia for a few days, and then South Korea, where my buddy JJ was stationed at the time with the army. And then we'd go back to Japan and I'd kind of take them around for a week or so, and then we'd all head back to the States. And yeah, it was a month-long thing. And we were like, I think this was the longest time we'd been on a trip with each other, and really excited about it. It's in the dead of summer in Southeast Asia to start off. So, we're in Cambodia, and we arrive in Siem Reap, which is where Angkor Wat is. Shout out Laura Croft. But you can see where
she appreciates that a lot, but
just trying to get on our good side.
I mean, I would say, yeah.
Laura Croft and Angelina Jolie's. But so we had a few days there, we explored, and then you can get a 3-day pass. And so by the third day, we're like, hey, let's switch it up a little bit. And this was me starting the conversation. I was like, hey, let's get out of the city and like, let's kind of look around. And we saw that there were other temples outside of Siem Reap that you could use the pass for. And we're like, hey, let's get like motorbikes, mopeds. And it took a little bit of convincing, but JJ got on board, and then my buddy Mike was like, all right, fine. And so we try to find the place to find the moped, we get it. The big red flag was initially, and not advising this, but it seemed good in the moment, and we kind of like trusted the dude, but we had to hand our passports over as collateral for the motorbike. So we're like, cool. And it was like, be back by 7 p.m. That's when I close. And we're like, okay, cool. It's 9 a.m. We have plenty of time. It takes us an hour to get out there. It's amazing. It's a beautiful day. The wind is blowing. We like stop for some pictures. Nice to get out of the city. We see a few temples. Day goes on, and it's like 3:30. No, it's like closer to 5, I think. And we're like, oh, it's gonna take us an hour to get back, so we should probably go. The guy's closing at 7, and he has our passports. And that night we were catching an overnight bus to Phnom Penh for the next leg of our trip. So like, cool. Everything's great.
Like shaking his head like a dad so hard. I have to narrate for the podcast.
everything is lined up to like, this, then this, then this, then this, then this. What could go wrong? And so we're going back, and we're not like super reckless on these motorbikes, but it's a gravelly road. There's no pavement, and the road is unmarked. And so we're heading back, and there's a lot of oncoming traffic, and we're fine. But we come up on one person who is not moving super slow, but I'm leading, and I'm getting a little bit antsy. I'm like, oh, we should probably pass him at some point, not trying to rush it. But you can't pass him on the left because there's all this oncoming traffic and there's no dividing line. You're probably just gonna, it's risky. And so he's right in the middle of the right side of the road. And I'm like, all right, I guess we'll try to pass him on the right. So I do that. Long story short, he hears, I think, my engine, like my bike, and he's like, oh, someone is passing me. So without looking, I'm coming here, he's right here, and he starts moving in my, like he's gonna hit me. And I panic, I hit the brakes, but because I'm on the side of the road, there's a lot more gravel, the rear wheel slips out from under me, and I just go sliding on the dirt road and on my elbow and left knee. And I have shorts, no leg protection. I had a helmet, so I was fine, but I got banged up pretty bad.
The pictures are disgusting.
Yeah, immediately was like, I need to get to a hospital. I had a nice big chunk of rock stuck in my, and so, but we're like, okay, well, we have to get these bikes back. I have our passport. We have a bus we have to get at 11. We also have to check out, and we also haven't eaten yet. And we're like, okay. It's like 5:30 at this point. It's still an hour out. What we ended up doing was like, with the condition of my bike too, luckily it wasn't too banged up, and we're like, is it safe to ride it?
Right.
Basically, I rode it back, banged up. I took my buddy JJ's shirt, and he was just basically riding back shirtless with my rain jacket on, and I used it to bandage my elbow and then tied a towel on my knee and rode the bike back to Siem Reap through a seasonal monsoon, which was fun. Because it's August and that's when that happens. And we made it in time, right as the guy was closing his doors, and he like saw me banged up and was like, what happened? Because he thought, and my buddies vouched for me, and I was like, oh, I just like fell on a root like when we were walking. And he's like, yeah, just like really bad. And he's like, okay, gave us back our passports. We get a tuk-tuk to the hospital. I get cleaned up, stitched, got 4 stitches in my elbow, got bandaged up, went back to the hotel, checked out, went to the bus station, and had like a half hour to spare, and we ate dinner, and we were exhausted, and we fell asleep right on the bus immediately.
And he lives to tell the tale. This is a movie.
It was insane. I
mean, I know the good part is that you're alive.
Right.
So that's why I was just like, I know the end result of this, but also with passports, and me working in hotels and stuff like that, like there's so many scams with tickets and stuff like that. It's not I mean, that's what
I'm surprised he didn't sell them in the time.
No,
like
they may not sell them, but they can gather all your information that they can sell to the black market. So that's also very important too. So
yeah,
give it to everyone, because they can use all that information to make all kind of identification.
But Andy and JJ and Mike were just like, we want to live life YOLO.
Let's go see some temples.
Temples on motorbikes. Look out, world.
Temple life, baby.
Yeah, it's like such a crazy story. I feel like it's important for people to hear, because see, funny people can be adventurous too, guys. We are both, Andy and I are members of the REI co-op.
Yeah. Get that cash back.
Right, cash back. for all
Um,
the tents and sleeping bags I own, which is too
but
many.
for the disgusting pictures of the wound, all those, we did take, there's one picture of me and JJ next to our mopeds riding back like 10 minutes after the accident happened. And I was like, we said on the way up, like, oh, we'll get a picture on the way back. This is really nice. And we passed that spot. And I was just like, we are taking this damn picture.
I think
Taking
I've
this
seen the
damn
picture too. Yeah.
And it's like
that.
me and JJ smiling with me bandaged up. And
He's like
JJ
bare
was just
shirt
wearing
with-
my jacket, just like bare chested, and like a monsoon in the background. It's just like,
that should be
cool.
blown up and put in whatever house like you actually end up buying one day. I think.
Yeah, I think it's definitely, I'm not getting rid of that picture.
You live to tell the
That's
tale.
That's beautiful.
Is JJ still in New York?
No, he moved down to DC,
Oh,
actually.
okay. I got to meet JJ actually. And that was the first thing I said. I'm like, you're the guy that he almost died with.
You're so subtle. You're so subtle.
I know. Don't tell Lauren I'm like a child. Don't tell me anything. I'm just gonna like call it out in front
Lauren
of
likes
whoever.
to like ease into it.
I know your life story. Hey! Yeah. All right, it's time to rate Andy. Ready? All right, I'll let you go first, David.
You know what? I'm gonna call Andy my little cousin.
Aww.
Because he's doing dumb shit. You know?
Yep.
He's fucking up, you know. His new name is cool. I like his new name. His new name would have been cool, you know.
Dr. Shartzer.
Dr. Shartzer. You know, because I believe you know, the you know, that's important, the letters, whatever. I can't think right now. But yeah, no. My little cousin.
Nice.
It's my little cousin.
I want
Hell
to
yeah.
call you a brother, but I feel like if I end up having a pact with you and have a kid with you, I should. Andy and I discussed we would make a really pretty baby.
Yeah, I would. The forehead would be really big, but the baby.
I don't have a big
Yeah.
forehead. No, we have such different shaped heads that the kid would be like the perfect, because you can't have two round faces together and you can't have two long faces together. We're like a good combination, we feel.
Kid would have like a 4.5, 5 head.
Yeah. Plus like Japanese, German, Puerto Rican, Irish, Italian. Like this kid has such a nice.
You just don't want your kid to pay for nothing. Be like, we're not paying for no school.
Right. It would, and they wouldn't even have to because they would be a model. This child, they would be put to work in some kind of advertisement somewhere.
Mhm.
So we're just but you are like trust you like a brother 100%, which is not an easy thing for me to do because I've with my humor, guys, there's walls that go up really quickly. That's why I have it. But you are a dreamboat. So to me, he's also kind of like the guy I would like set up anybody who like care about with. I love Andy. I think Andy's a catch. Whoever he's dating in the pandemic, if you fuck him over, I'm gonna have words with you, girl. And but yeah, he's definitely like a brother, but I would also have a child with him if I before I'm barren.
At which point, no discussion of siblings.
Right. At which point we would never say he's like a brother to me. But that's only if I can't make it to the end before I'm barren and I've got to get a kid out. And I am very selective, not only about my vagina, but about who I would want to procreate with. So you are procreation status, Andy. I think is what he's bright red, everybody.
It's very important having a mate that is beautiful to be like, yeah, like to make this baby. Like you can't make it
like Andy's smart, he's adventurous, he's a kind person. He would be so nice to me having this kid on the side. He would, you know, and the kid would be beautiful. So He is of that. I would not normally say this to somebody else and have a pact with them, but Andy is pact worthy.
He's PACT
But
Worthy.
he's pact worthy, and he's also very like a brother. Like that's, we're hoping we don't have to fulfill the pact. That's where we're at. But like, if we have to, we know we would both procreate a beautiful child. So there's that. I mean, that's a pretty high status. That might be the highest status we've given.
That's yeah.
I don't know if you could get higher than pact status procreation.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I definitely haven't had that with anybody on this show.
No, I think you're definitely the first one of those.
You're the first PACT Worthy. You're the first PACT Worthy.
That's the highest status now. Pact worthy.
But
I don't know what to say.
Would it just be fertilizing of the eggs or fertilizing of it all?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. At that point, we might just be like, this is easier than doing like a turkey baster.
Yeah.
Like it'd be less messy.
How long it take you? I can see Lauren. But how long does it take you? Because I gotta leave.
I got this flight.
Yeah, we're both like, we have 30 minutes. Let's go. No, we hope to never be those people again, though. Truly. No, yeah, you're definitely, though, you're a trustworthy, smart, very intelligent, and hilarious person. And I can't wait to see what you do next.
Yeah, I'd love to. Please send me your stand-up. I'd love to see.
Yeah, we need to get you on a stand-up show. You guys follow Andy. You are DJ. What is
DJ A Sharp.
DJ A Sharp on Instagram, and he's starting to spit bars again, which I'm super excited about because his bars are pretty sick. And you can maybe he'll post a picture of his gross arm or something when we promote this show.
David, if you want that, I can send that too.
No.
No. Oh,
no nasty pictures. I don't want nasty. Well, I want nasty pictures, but
not that nasty.
Oh, okay.
Not that arm nasty pictures.
Not that arm.
Other things.
Girl, I'm not arm nasty.
He ain't arm nasty anymore. All right, guys, that's it for our show. Thank you so much for listening.
Oh
like,
God.
Subscribe, rate our Andy. Bye.
Bye.